Hey, fourth graders, you just watched a video on adaptations, and you've learned that adaptations can be things that are physical or even structures. So, like the color of a frog's skin or a body part like thumbs that an animal has. But adaptations can also be behaviors. So, here's your goal. I'm using my mouse to show you. Your goal for today is to think about what we call inherited versus acquired behaviors. And in the video, they talked a little bit about behaviors that help animals survive. So that's what we're going to think about now. All right. So, first, an inherited trait, which we've talked about. So, this is review. Inherited traits are things that are passed down. So, it says offspring inherit certain traits from their parents. An inherited trait is a characteristic that is passed down from parents to offspring, right? So it could be the color, it could be body parts like pincers and antenna. And these structures or traits of an animal or plant often help it survive in its environment. We talked about how this inherited trait of the frog's skin help it blend in with its environment. On the other hand, the word acquired. Look, here's this, it's kind of a big word. Go ahead and say it with me. Acquired. An acquired trait is a trait that an animal, plant, or person develops through interactions in their environment, right? So a person isn't born with pierced ears, it's something that they get. Or these leaves don't naturally have those brown spots, it's something they get from their environment. Or even scars aren't something that a manatee is born with, it's something that it gets. Well, behaviors can be inherited or acquired. Well, so first of all, what's a behavior? A behavior is an action or the things that animals and people do. So here are some examples of behaviors animals and people do, right? There's lots of behaviors, but here's just some. There's moving, such as walking, running, crawling, slithering. Those are all behaviors. Making sound, such as talking or like a dog barking, that's a behavior. Sleeping and even getting food, those would be behaviors. Now, some behaviors are inherited and some behaviors are acquired. So, your goal today is to really think about which behaviors are inherited behaviors or things that animals do naturally that help them survive. All right, so let's think about this word inherited again. Inherited means it's passed down from parents. So, with behaviors, it means it's behaviors that are natural, behaviors that organisms do without being taught, and it's things that you're born ready to do. So, think about the things that you do naturally, nobody had to teach you to do them. Those are inherited behaviors. So things like sleeping and eating are inherited behaviors. You didn't have to learn how to sleep, you just knew. You didn't have to learn how to cry, you just knew. Acquired behaviors are behaviors that organisms learn, things that organisms don't know how to do naturally. And like I said, they must be learned. So, for example, riding a bike is something that you had to learn. It's not an inherited behavior, right? You weren't born knowing how to ride a bike. You had to learn how to ride a bike. Inherited behaviors are also called instincts. So, instincts or inherited behaviors, again, are the things that you're born ready to do. Here's some really great examples. Eating, blinking, and swallowing are all examples of inherited behaviors. But here's some more. These geese flying in this V shape is an inherited behavior. They didn't have to learn it. Geese do this naturally. And geese migrate or move south during the winter and then back north during the summer, which is also an inherited behavior. They didn't have to learn it, they do it naturally. Here's another one. This bear and its cubs hibernate each winter, meaning they pretty much sleep through the winter. They did not have to learn that behavior, they do it naturally. Here's one more. Now, this shows a couple inherited traits. First of all, look at the camouflage. So remember, this crayfish here that is shown inherited its coloring, its pincers, its body parts, how it's camouflaged, but also notice how it's hiding, but it has its eyes, antenna, and pincers sticking out. That is an inherited behavior. It will do that naturally without being taught. It's not going to have its tail sticking out where it can't see potential predators. It's going to have its eyes sticking out so that it can see predators potentially coming to, attack it. Now, acquired behaviors are things that the organisms need to learn to do. So, for you, riding a bike, learning to read, learning to speak a second language are all acquired behaviors. And animals can learn behaviors too. So, maybe, oops, sorry. So, maybe you even have a pet and you have taught the pet how to do some things. For example, I know I've taught my dog how to sit using some commands. This dog has learned to catch a frisbee. So those are not instincts, those are things that animals learned. All right, now let's see how well that you know whether a behavior is inherited or acquired. So for each picture and little caption, I want you to think if this is something that is inherited, right? Born knowing how to do, it was passed down, or if it was learned. All right, so butterfly migration. Okay, think for a minute. Was that inherited or acquired? And I'll count down from 3 and then I'll reveal the answer. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. Answer is inherited. Butterflies did not need to learn to migrate. They do it naturally. So it is an inherited behavior. How about a seal balancing a ball? Is that inherited, meaning they do it naturally? Or was it a learned or acquired behavior? Okay, 3, 2, 1. It was acquired, something a seal would learn to do, right? That's not a natural behavior. A baby crying, inherited or acquired? 3, 2, 1. Inherited, yeah. Babies don't have to learn how to cry. It's something they do naturally. It is inherited from their parents. How about a bear catching fish? All right, 3, 2, 1. This is acquired. Notice how the little baby bears are watching their like mama bear with learning how to do it. Okay. A raccoon getting food from a campsite garbage bin. 3, 2, 1. Acquired. This is something that they learn in their environment. They learn that this campsite garbage bin has food in it. They learn that over time by watching people put their garbage into the garbage bin. And over time they learn, right? Or they acquire the behavior of going to the garbage bin to get food. They wouldn't naturally know that a garbage bin contains food, right? How about a koala sleeping? Isn't it cute? All right, 3, 2, 1. That's inherited. Remember, sleeping is an inherited behavior, meaning it's something that we are born ready to do. A fish swimming. Neat. 3, 2, 1. Inherited. Yeah. So a fish does not need to learn how to swim. It does it naturally as soon as it is born. All right, and that is it. So now it's time for you to answer some questions. Keep on going on your Google Slides.